It being 7:01, I think we should call the July meeting of the West Lakeland Town Board to order. And the first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Let's see, the first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. And so we'll approve the town board meeting of 6/8/2026. I just had a couple of corrections to that, I thought, maybe three. The first one would be, okay, under the public hearing for 2242 Morgan Avenue, it says Mr. Noel Malloy, 2242 Morgan Avenue. He's representing the homeowner at that address. And I can't remember what the homeowner's name is, but he doesn't live there. So maybe we could say something like, representing blank, whoever
Lisa Myers.
Lisa Myers, is that her name? Okay, yeah, Lisa Myers of 2242 Morgan Avenue. Got it? Okay, thanks. And then third line in that same paragraph, the proposal is a driveway off the garage within the setbacks. It should be a garage off the driveway within the setbacks. Just reverse those two words, maybe. Okay, and then let's see what else. St. Croix Montessori, the next page where it says St. Croix Montessori variance, and I'm not sure what word we meant to put in there. It's not medication, but it's maybe amendment or something. Amendment, okay. Very good. So those are the only changes I had to the draft minutes.
I have one. So in the public comments section, Miss Lori Evans, Lori is spelled Laurie, and then the address should be 13959 17th Street North. 13959. Yep.
Okay, thank you for that. We had to add a few vowels to that name there.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough vowels. Okay, any other changes to the draft minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, that carries. Thank you. And then the other one would be, wait a minute, do we? No, we don't approve their minutes, do we?
No.
No, okay. Baytown's minutes. Okay. Well, it says joint board meeting, but I mean, do we have, what's that?
Yeah, Chairman, they just want you to review them and just make sure that there isn't anything missing.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't really see anything, glaring omission in their minutes, so, yeah. But I don't think we need to formally approve their minutes because those are their minutes. Okay, and then Marcia Olson's not gonna be here for a bit because she is at Baytown's town board meeting. Maybe before I go on though, too, I should acknowledge that and express our remorse and condolences to Betsy Vance. Betsy's mother passed away just a couple weeks ago, and so I wanted to publicly express our condolences to Betsy for that. She was 90 years old, so and I remember Betsy's mom when she was in her 20s, I guess, and so I have a special, yeah, we grew up across the street, that's right. So I have a special place in my heart for her. All right, so then we're gonna move past the treasurer's report and come back to that when Marcia comes in. And let us hear from the Planning Commission. I understand there's some updates that the Planning Commission has for us. So, Dill, thank you.
Okay. Good evening, board and staff. We had our monthly meeting June 18th, and it was a light meeting. And one of the things on our agenda, which I won't report on now because it's coming up later in your agenda, is an application for an accessory structure closer to the right of way than the residence from Mark and Tia Burns. That'll be coming up later. We are working on, there's a work group we have within the Planning Commission that's working on a review of Attorney Gilchrist's working draft of the updated zoning ordinance. And we have met twice. We're hashing that out, working our way through it, step by step by step. And we're gonna probably next month get together with Attorney Gilchrist to find out the whys and wherefores of additions and subtractions and et cetera and so forth. And so we're making progress. We are also going to, we also are looking at a review of a zoning ordinance to disallow data centers, and I believe Marion has some information on that for us. Okay, not right now. Okay, and then the big thing that let me check that I didn't miss anything on the first page. The big thing that we covered was interviews for the Planning Commission vacancy. We had 2 candidates, both of which were highly qualified. I tell you what, this job is really getting tougher every time we get a vacancy, because we get some people coming out of the woodwork that you look at their resume and wow, okay, how are we going to choose between these, you know? And we interviewed the 2 of them. And after they left we interviewed them individually and they left the room, and then the Planning Commission sat there around the table and we looked at each other and says, well, okay, now what? We thought and thought and thought and thought, because it was kind of a toss-up. It was a very even toss-up. They had their pluses and they had their minuses, none of which were glaring. We finally, let's see, the 2 qualified candidates were Peter Fritz and Taylor Boyson. We finally went around the table and cast our votes for Taylor Boyson as our recommended replacement for the Planning Commission vacancy. And this is just for the remainder of this year. It's to fill a current spot. Mark Vadova's spot was going to expire at the end of the year. And so it's just for the remainder of his term. So we bring that recommendation to you to consider. Oh yeah, it's different. Taylor is spelled Tayler. And Boyson is Boysen.
Okay, well, so you're, the Planning Commission's recommending the appointment of Taylor Boyson to fill that
Yes.
vacancy.
To my knowledge, they're both okay with the idea of just having 5 or 6 months left.
Mhm.
If they don't like working with us, they can bail out then. But that's usually not the case. We're a pretty agreeable bunch of guys and gals, so we get our work done, and we disagree sometimes, but always politely.
Okay. Has anybody got any questions about this? You're the liaison. Did you have any particular comment on it, or?
No, I agree, but they were both great, and it was a hard decision
Okay.
for the planning commission.
It was. Oh. Stan, please.
Sure.
Put you on the spot.
Sure. If you wouldn't mind just saying a few words, that'd be kind of helpful, I think, for everybody. Kind of get to know you.
Yeah, it's in the folders.
Yes. Hello. Glad none of the minuses were not too glaring. And yes, my name is spelled a little bit different. It has caused a lot of issues. But yeah, I'm Taylor. I saw the vacancy in one of the newsletters about, I don't know, maybe a month ago. And there was still a couple days to throw in a resume. So I thought I would. I've always been interested in local government and haven't been able to get as involved yet. But we've been living in West Lakeland Township, my husband and I, for about 4 years now with our 2 little girls. But I did grow up just in Stillwater in town. My husband's from the St. Cloud area. And yeah, I came in I don't know, a few weeks ago. I can't remember when that was already. And met the group and interviewed, and everyone seems really great to work with. So yes, I still am interested and was happy to hear that the offer was extended to join. Any
All right.
questions?
Thanks. I don't have any.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. Nice.
Thank you.
All right.
Uh, Other than that, we'll leave that on your agenda here to just make a decision.
I'll just go ahead and move that we appoint Taylor Boysen to the remainder of that term. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion about the appointment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, great. Congratulations.
And from what I can tell, the remainder of that term is kind of a nebulous state. There's nothing in the ordinances about when the term ends. And so we have kind of, by agreement of the Planning Commission, ended it on the December 31st, but let people stay on until the annual meeting in March, because that's when a new one normally gets appointed. So not that it would make a lot of difference. So that's about it.
If it's working, that's good.
Yeah, it's working.
All
It's
right.
working good.
All right. Thank you, Dell. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. Oh, so the next item is that Mark Burns of 1877 Old Ridge Avenue North would like to review his application for an accessory structure closer to the right-of-way than the residence. I understand he's on a Zoom connection.
Yes, I am.
So would you like to go ahead and make your presentation a little bit and tell us a little bit about what the nature of your request is and so forth?
Sure. So thank you so much for allowing me to join this evening via Zoom. I've had a pre-planned vacation taking my daughter to a college visit here in Vermont. So I very much appreciate your flexibility for me to able to present via Zoom. And the application that I spoke to the Planning Commission a few weeks ago about is for an accessory structure that it would be placed closer to the right-of-way than our residence. And the reason for the application, the need to place it where where we're proposing, is because of the way that our septic system is positioned in our home. So we built the house we're at 1877 Old Ridge Avenue North. We built it in 2001. And it is a walkout Rambler with an attached three-car garage. And so the width of the combination of the house and attached garage is pretty close to the maximum width that we can have with the side boundary setback requirement. And so then where we have placed the conventional septic system is behind the house. And I don't know if you can see it on your screens where that is, but it is with the drain field. It is we had somebody actually come out and look at it. Our preference, of course, would be to position an accessory structure in the rear of our property. I had noted that our neighbor immediately to the north of us, Dan Killo, had built an accessory structure a couple of years ago in the back, and have some jealousy of that, the position of it and all. And I wanted to see if we could figure out a way to get it back there, but where the septic system currently is, particularly the drain field, it's just not going to be possible to have any kind of, can't build it, can't run any weight over that drain field. And so our alternative then is to place it in front of the residence. And it's shown here on this drawing, the proposed location of it. It would be approximately 20 feet by 36 feet. And with accommodating the 25-foot side boundary setback from our north neighbor. What this particular drawing doesn't show is, and some of our other photographs, the aerial views do show that we have all along that north boundary fairly mature white pine trees, probably 40, 50 feet tall, which establish a good both wind barrier, of course, but a very good visual screen where that building will be placed. So, yes, thank you very much for pulling these up. I don't have these right where I have, but you can see in this photograph that's from the street view, kind of on the north side to the left of the driveways will be placed. I don't know if I submitted a few different photographs. I don't know if there's another one that maybe shows the screen, but by the white pine trees have been planted. Yeah, there's one. That's great. Thank you very much. So this area of grass is where the structure would be, the proposed structure would be placed. And because it is, or would be placed in front of the house, our plan is to make it match the appearance of the home. It would have lap siding, hardy plank siding. We would match the pitch of the roof of the house with an 812 roof with architectural shingles, and we put in Anderson windows on the south side, the side of the structure to be facing the driveway. So it would look very much like an extension of the house. It would be a stick-built, stick and frame built garage, and the access door would be facing away from the right of way. It would be on the east wall, and so those people who were driving along the road would not see the garage door.
Okay, thanks. I have a couple quick questions. I see you've got a survey here, certificate of survey, and it shows the house and the proposed location of the structure, but it doesn't really show me where the septic drain field is. It's got the word septic and a real small black triangle there, but it doesn't really depict where that septic system is. And so I'm just wondering, does it run the entire length of the lot, or
Yeah, very close. So where that septic triangle is the location of the tanks. So we have 3 tanks there, and then the drain field runs to the north, probably basically to the setback, the north setback line. We have 3 drain field lines that run that entire length to the north from that approximately that triangle. And if there's a aerial view, you can see that where we've kept it just grass. Yeah, if you can possibly zoom in there.
Okay.
So you can see it in the back, the slope goes down very steeply once you get into the woods line. And so that entire open area where the cursor is on the screen is precisely where the drain field is.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions? You're planning the same type of siding and color and windows and everything, I think you said, as the house has?
That's correct.
Same pitch,
Yes.
okay.
Yep. Same pitch, 812 pitch with architectural shingles.
All right. All right, thank you. So I think what we need to do next then is probably just to set this on for a public hearing, probably at our next meeting, our August meeting, I would think. So I will move that we set it on for a public hearing for the August meeting. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mark, before we vote on this?
No, thank you. I appreciate again your consideration of this.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded that we'll set this on for public hearing at the next board meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, so we'll see you here in about a month.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, so the next thing will be, Dan Killo has a proposal to name the meeting hall.
Good evening, Chairman and Supervisors. Yes, actually, there's two items of business I was going to conduct or talk about tonight, but the first one is regarding the resolution that was drafted by former attorney Scott McDonald, who was a township attorney for many years. But he drafted this resolution for us, for Dave and I, and it's to recognize and honor John McPherson. John McPherson was a very influential person within the township. He was the longest serving supervisor, but it's not, this resolution isn't just not only for John, it's also for his wife Harriet, who contributed to the community and was very important to the succession of this township. So this particular resolution that we're introducing is to honor both of them, since both of them contributed so much to this township. And we would like to call this main meeting room McPherson Hall. The intent is to, if we got approval, that we would then go ahead and produce a plaque that will describe and their contributions and to honor them for their contributions. I would like to read the resolution. Whereas the town of West Lakeland has existed as a township under the laws of Minnesota since 1950, and whereas one resident of the town of West Lakeland, John McPherson, served on the Board of Supervisors and as chairman of the Board of Supervisors for almost 40 years, longer than any other person in the history of the town of West Lakeland. And whereas John McPherson also served on the town of West Lakeland Planning Commission and numerous other committees and commissions relating to the township business. Whereas John McPherson was a fierce guardian of public funds, and due to his fiscal leadership, the town of West Lakeland was consistently among the lowest taxed communities in the metropolitan area, while maintaining a bank balance that was an envy of surrounding municipalities. And whereas Harriet McPherson and John McPherson were married in 1949, and Harriet volunteered many hours to the township matters in addition to serving on District 834 School Board, representing the interests of West Lakeland residents through 4 terms in the Minnesota State House of Representatives, and serving on the Lakeview Hospital Board. Whereas John and Harriet were advocates of both property rights of individuals and preserving a rural atmosphere within the township, and the policies they supported, resulted in the development that was fair to landowners, and yet over the years has resulted in the town of West Lakeland being more rural than most of the neighboring communities. And whereas for 4 decades, the McPherson home was open for residents to stop by to discuss township issues, and John and Harriet answered thousands of phone calls relating to potholes, snow plowing, burning permits, weeds, taxes, land use, and other township business. And whereas John McPherson passed away on December 9th, 2025, while Harriet now lives near family in Alexandria area, but maintains an affection for and interest in West Lakeland Township. Whereas the Board of Supervisors of the town of West Lakeland, on behalf of the residents of West Lake of the township, wants to honor John and Harriet McPherson and acknowledge their decades of public service to the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of the town of West Lakeland as follows. For this day forward, the main meeting room in West Lakeland Town Hall shall be known as McPherson Hall, and a plaque describing John and Harriet's years of service to the township shall be created and placed in a suitable location within the building, adopted by the Board of Supervisors in the town of West Lakeland, day, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I'm introducing. I'm hoping that the board will recognize that the community and their contributions to the community. And it's only, I think it's only appropriate that a plaque and the naming of this meeting hall would show that recognition.
Okay, thank you. Dave, it looks like you maybe got something.
Oh, I'm
to
sorry.
add.
You creeped up on me.
You're good at this. Mr. Chair, supervisors, this is not unheard of. Historically, we've had the Tozer gym and pool at the old Stillwater High School. Past resident of Stillwater, pioneer. We've got the Margaret Rivers room at the library at Stillwater. And of course, Moose Tower, who is the past president, Malcolm Moose of the U. So this is not unheard of. It's been done before. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Any discussion? Anybody?
I'm totally fine with the plaque. I'm pretty lukewarm on, I don't know. I didn't know John, so I don't feel as informed.
Okay.
Do you have a comment?
I do.
Okay.
I have comments. Okay, I'll go ahead with mine. So, okay, we certainly have been blessed in this township with, I'm sure, a number of people who have contributed to the township over the years, and that's certainly is a good thing. But I don't think that we should be naming the town hall or any part of it after any individual person. I mean, the town hall belongs to the residents of the township, and I am not comfortable naming part of it or all of it after any individual person. As I say, I think there have probably been many people over the years who've made contributions, of large and small, and naming the town hall or some part of it after one of them, I'm not in favor of doing that.
What about a plaque? Are we on the plaque? In the history area.
Guess I'd be open to that. Yeah, of course, I do think the board would have to maybe review what the content of it was and so forth. Have some time to look at that before we'd approve the placement of such a thing. But maybe in the history area, we could have some kind of a, write up on it.
Okay.
I would think.
So I did get to know John a little bit, off and on over the many years that we lived here, and we've been here since January of 1990. So, and I know he's got a long history here, and I'm all for a plaque, and I'm actually okay. I've thought about this. I knew this was going to come up. I'm actually okay with naming the hall. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think at the very least we should have a plaque or something that recognizes him in a fairly visible area. Hopefully, as you said, kind of out here in the lobby where people can see it. As far as other,
This is not just for John, though. This is for John and Harriet both,
Okay. Yeah.
recognizing both of their contributions.
So
to
what
this
would the
community.
actual name of the hall be then?
McPherson Hall.
McPherson Hall. Okay.
So that's why it'd be,
Yeah.
yeah, not John McPherson Hall, McPherson Hall
I,
to honor.
I'm not
both.
too worried about the, setting a precedent because I don't think there'll be somebody that puts the amount of decades in that they did. So I guess at the very least we should have a plaque, and I guess I would say that I'd be fine with naming the hall. I don't see it happening again. Hopefully it's not a precedent. We don't want to start naming sections of the entire structure after people.
Well, considering that we're only 75 years old and he was more than served, let's put this, he and his wife served, he served 40 years
Mhm.
just on the town board. That's not just the only contribution that he gave.
Sure.
He also conducted, our annual meetings. He was, like I said, he was on a variety of committees. I mean, he served more than half of the age of our whole township. So I don't think we're really setting a precedent. We're just finally honoring someone who John and Harriet both contributed so much to this community, and we should honor them. There's no individual that I can think of that has contributed that much, or either of those combined, that in this township that deserves such an honor.
Some people really liked him, but not everyone did. I mean, it's
Well, that
He
any
was-
politician you could
Yeah.
say that for.
right. All right. So what do we do?
Yes,
I-
we do.
Okay, so I think maybe we should, since it's been kind of suggested, we kind of bifurcate this into two sections. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could just do it in one.
So-
I'll just do one motion, I guess, and that is, I'll move that we deny the request to name the meeting hall, but that we approve of the creation of a plaque that could be displayed in the entryway, that the language of which would be reviewed and approved by the town board.
Do we have to approve a budget for said plaque?
That the plaque would be funded by private contributions. So there'd be no expenditure by the township for the plaque.
I'll second the motion.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? John, any
No,
other thoughts?
no.
If there were a large section of the community that felt passionate, I'd entertain it on a broader scale, but I don't think we have a good representation of the population. So I'm not opposed forever, ever. I just need more input from more residents.
All right.
Okay, just so I understand what the motion is,
Yep.
just for the plaque,
Correct.
okay,
Not naming the
not naming the hall.
meeting hall. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
No,
Motion passes. And thank you very much.
So Dave and I we'll be getting together and constructing the wording for the plaque.
Right.
And we'll bring that forward to the town board
Sure.
for their approval.
Yep.
Okay? All right.
Yep. Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
The second order of business is, I don't know if I saw this in your packet, the striping of our, all right. Okay, that's where remember we were having that problem, with the emails, the attachment kept being dropped off for some reason.
Yeah,
It was for the quote for the striping of the.
yeah, no, I never did receive that.
Yeah, there was something with that attachment where it came from Gopher State. I don't know why it was not forwarding to you. I don't understand what was going on there. But anyway, okay, so I had contacted Gopher State Seal Coat because our striping is fading. and it will for sure, by winter time, it'll probably be almost gone. And so I got a proposal that, for $660 to restripe our parking lot.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Might I suggest that this come up under new business? Since it's not on the agenda right now.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Can you,
I can come back.
come back under new business? Yeah, yeah, okay.
Okay.
That's fine. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you, Dan.
Right, thanks, right.
Okay, you should probably turn your, it seems like when both, yours is off. It is
Yeah.
off. Okay, all right. Okay, good, all right. All right, all right, so speaking of kind of pavement-related items, Chad is making his way to the podium, and we're going to talk about the mill and overlay project.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Board, for having me. As a part of the 2026 pavement management plan, there were a subset of streets that were on there on schedule to be mill and overlaid this coming year. The board authorized putting a design package together for public bidding. Bids were opened on June 9th. Town received 5 bids ranging from $688,667.10 to $778,502.40. The low bidder in this case was Bituminous Roadways Incorporated. So engineering reviewed the bids as compared to the overall project budget. We had $800,000 budgeted in the pavement management plan, reducing the construction contingency down to 3% and updating other costs associated with the project. It is on budget for about $800,000 as a total estimated project cost. So the budgeting came in right. And then the other kind of note to add that, Marcia over here, we have some remaining unspent proceeds from the bond issued for the 2025 street improvement project. That was a balance of about $700,000 as of April 17th, 2026. So the town board could utilize some of those remaining bond proceeds to help finance this project. So I'm here in front of you tonight with the information of the public bids received, recommending that the town board consider awarding, accepting the bids and awarding a contract to Bituminous Roadways in the contract amount of $688,667.10. Along with that motion, if you were to proceed into construction, there's an authorization for Bolton and Mink to complete construction services outlined in task order number 3, amendment number 1, in the amount of $50,000. And I'm requesting that the board authorize the town board chair to sign a contract with a geotechnical firm for construction material testing in the not to exceed amount of $10,000 with terms reviewed by the attorney. Stand before you with any questions you may have regarding the project, the bidding that came in, numbers, budgets, or any of the above.
Does anybody got any questions for Chad about this?
What road was this?
This is the ones that are coded in blue, I think.
Blue?
Yeah, if you switch the
Oh,
map.
Edge Mill and Overlay.
Yep. There's a map further up that shows the. ones
So
that
this is Novak and Norrell south of 10th Street, Norrell north of 10th Street, the Greenwood Trail, subset of Orion Trail, 15th Street north, and Overlook Court. And the purpose goal of this project is these roads were anywhere from 25 to 30 plus years old. It would take off the top layer of pavement and replace it to kind of prolong the lifespan of the road before it needs a much more, kind of a reconstruction project.
Okay. Just trying to read the pavement management. So the,
Right. Does it say edge mill and overlay or does it say? Yeah. It does.
Yeah.
Now, on the PMP, it says edge mill and overlay, but this says mill and overlay. So is this a little bit more comprehensive than what was originally envisioned?
So the majority of these streets will be edge mill and overlaid. There are some sections where full width is required just due to the pavement condition and
Okay.
getting
All right.
down to the base course. So it's semantics, but it is effectively an edge mill and overlay.
Okay.
So there's 1.4 million estimated in 2026.
Mhm.
That includes a reclaim
Mm-hmm.
project and this project. Is it, or, I don't know, how did you get the 800,000 is in the budget? Is that just part of the calcs in the background, that total to this 1.4?
Yeah, so
Okay.
subtracting out the reclaim that was reserved as kind of a placeholder for 30th Street.
Okay, that's a 30th. Got it.
Kind of kicked that down to 2026.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions for Chad? Well, hearing none, I will move that we act in accordance with the engineer's recommendation and that we accept the bituminous roadways bid and the allowance for engineering costs with Bolton and Mink, and that we proceed with that project this summer. We would complete it by the end of the summer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, we'll need a roll call for this.
Supervisor Dana,
Aye.
Supervisor Evans,
Aye.
Chairman Mooseberger.
Aye. Okay. Thank you very much, Chad, for that, for your help on that. Appreciate it. All right, so the next item of business, which Chad has already also worked on this, and that is the 30th Street Improvement Potential Project. And we did meet with Baytown last month, and a proposal was raised, not necessarily acted upon or approved, but the proposal that was raised was that we go ahead and do a reclamation of 30th from Neal to basically Stagecoach, but that the two townships would split the cost of the Neal to the town limits portion of that, 50-50. And then, of course, Baytown would take upon itself the entire cost of the town limits to Stagecoach stretch of roadway. And it looks like Chad's done some, he's updated some earlier estimates, I think, that he worked on when we did our proposal for a grant, which was unsuccessful, the LRIP grant. He's come up with 653,800 is the Baytown portion. And the part that, under this proposal, Baytown and West Lakeland would split would be a little over 1.6 million. So we'd each pay half of that 1.6 million cost, assuming that estimate is accurate. And I'll also add that I had some conversations with the road supervisor, one of the road supervisors in Baytown. He indicated that they were working on getting some estimates from Miller to do this reclamation, just kind of an estimate, not a bid, not a quote, but an estimate, and that he'd have that for us at this meeting so that we could see if Baytown was indeed able to pull a rabbit out of its hat and get a much better price, than we think we're going to get. But that hasn't been forthcoming, so we'll look at that when it is forthcoming, but it hasn't been. So we don't have that number.
Did you tell him that we got 5 bids and Miller was most expensive
On
for the other road project?
no, no, I didn't.
Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, he just thinks that, he thinks that they don't really need engineering studies and so forth. They just need to have somebody with boots on the ground to tell us what they would charge us to do that, without having to comply with all kinds of. I mean, I hope he doesn't think that they don't need inspections and things like that. I assume he'd go along with that. But anyway, it's a moot point because we don't have a number from them. But we do have a number now from Chad on what he estimates that would cost. And, I can't do the math in my head, but let's just see what that is. It's about 800,000. Okay.
Yeah.
And
For the whole road section, then we share it?
the shared part. Correct. The shared portion of the road, about 800,000. Yeah, that's right. And then thereafter, once we have a nice new roadway, the plan is that we'll split the future, responsibility for that road at 30th Street Court North, which is, we all agree, the halfway point of the shared pavement, i.e. from Manning to the town limits, not including the West Lakeland, the exclusively West Lakeland portion south of the airport. The halfway point of that pavement is 30th Street Court North. And that's where we would split it in the future, which certainly seems reasonable to me. The only thing I want to call to the other board members' attention before we say that we would go along with this is that if in fact we do as was proposed and repave 30th from Neal to town limits, and then split at 30th Street Court North, we are basically, that stretch from Neal to 30th Street Court North comprises 1/3 of this shared portion that we're going to pave. And so, to some extent, we are underwriting Baytown's costs, of the initial reclamation, which is of course the big ticket item, for that stretch. And if people are okay with that, that's fine. I'm not saying we necessarily shouldn't be, but I just want to make sure everybody understands that that splitting the cost of that entire stretch, and then dividing the road at 30th Street Court North is not necessarily a completely 50-50 thing, to some degree, we're underwriting some of Baytown's costs. And in fact, I asked Chad to try to quantify that for us so that we have an idea of what the magnitude of that is. And Chad, if you wouldn't mind commenting on that, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So speaking specifically to your question just now, I kind of did the math from a length of road, area of road with the divide as presented. And it comes out to be 35% of the length of the road from 30th Street from Neal Avenue to the town limits would be future owned and maintained by West Lakeland based on that split location of 30th Street Circle North. And 65% would be Baytown Township's future. And that math works from both a length and area perspective. So that 65-35 is pretty accurate. The 50-50 split, as mentioned, of the $1.6 million job is $814,550 each if you split it 50-50. If you went with the future maintenance jurisdictional, 35% split would be $570,000 to West Lakeland, leaving 65% or $1,058,000 to Baytown Township. So the difference between splitting at 50-50 or using the 35% the delta is $244,000 on the West Lakeland numbers.
Okay.
I said a lot of numbers there.
Yeah, a lot of numbers. And so, okay, so that's 244,000 more that we would be paying than that they would be paying. Now, this is in the context, though, of the fact that we had been offering them $100,000 to take the east half. So it's not of a huge magnitude, but there is a slight difference, I guess, between what we were offering and what we would be accepting under this scenario. On the other hand, it gets the job done, and I had the feeling that they were, they wanted to proceed this way. So maybe that's the way folks want to go. But I just want to call all this to everybody's attention, so everything's on the table, so people understand what we're going to do moving forward if we decide to move forward with this proposal. And then maybe even further detail on this, of course, is that obviously we'd have to have a joint powers agreement in connection with this project itself, and then further in connection with the division of the future responsibilities of the pavement. And that's something I think Troy could probably help us with. Okay. Any further thoughts or discussion?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. We do need an agreement in place as we go forward, once we decide to segment it east and west, when we take over the west. Fortunately, when and if this all gets done, everything will be up to date, because it was relatively new what was done around the airport to Manning Avenue. Excuse me, make sure I get the mic. Anyways, so I'm thinking, when we originally started to negotiate with them or try to come to an agreement, we were thinking 50-50, right? That 2-mile stretch, so to speak, we own the southern portion of it, they own the northern portion. And we were just trying to get them to come in and get that road done, which it severely needs. So I think we've achieved that. And then, unfortunately, now that kind of segues into the future agreement, whereby if we do this, then they are the beneficiaries of picking up 2/3 of the work that we funded. So I guess I'm okay with that. I know that sounds, I don't know. It's a lot to be okay with, but we've got a road that's failed from Oak Green east. And it's a pretty urgent situation that we try to budget for and get this accomplished for the residents in both townships, but obviously for Westlake.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Rachel, any thoughts?
I'm trying to figure out so if we had the west side of 30th, do we have to take care of the right of way on both sides?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
No, well, my proposal there would be that Baytown would continue to take care of mowing and maintaining its right of way on the north side, and West Lakeland would continue to mow and take care of brush removal and other maintenance on the south side of
Is that how it usually works?
of the whole road.
Yeah, and doesn't the airport bear some of the responsibility for that too?
That
Or is it, am I wrong? You know,
that I don't know. On the Baytown side, maybe. On the West Lakeland
that's what
side,
I'm
no.
saying.
It's possible that on the Baytown side there is. But yeah, I think we would do ditch mowing and everything on our side. They would do it on their side of the street. I think we could build that into the joint powers agreement.
Okay, as long as that's typical.
I think is that typical? I think it is. It's got to be.
So, Mr. Chair and board, I think mowing and those sorts of things are fine. I mean, generally speaking, when it comes to maintenance of the road, at least the road surface, there's some liability incentive to draw a line across the road, and you take that half and we'll take this half. And it simply comes down to, if there was an accident on one side of the road that someone sues claiming it was the road's fault or the road contributed to the accident, then it goes to the town that's maintaining that part of the road. I don't know that's necessarily a huge advantage, but that is something to keep in mind if you're drawing the line across the road and dividing it in half that way.
So you're saying including the right of ways on either side? Like if there's trees down or people can't see because it hasn't been trimmed on the north side of 30th? You keep that in?
Well, so you certainly can do what you're talking about. I'm not saying that there's one right way of doing it. Generally speaking, back when I was at the Township Association, we encouraged towns to look at it not as a draw the line down the middle of the road, draw it across. That way it helps delineate who's responsible for what. You have that half, we have this half. But you certainly can divide it differently. if
Well,
you
do
want.
you do you think there are
Or even on types of maintenance.
do you think it's problematic to say the pavement west of 30th Street Court North belongs to West Lakeland, it's their responsibility to maintain it, and the pavement east of 30th Street Court North belongs to Baytown, it's their responsibility to maintain that, but as far as ditch mowing or ditch maintenance of items in the ditch, that's the responsibility of the town that owns the right of way?
Mr. Chair, I think that's fine. Really, what all this comes down to is writing it down in a clear way that can be understood 10 years from now, 20 years from now. That's where I see problems come in. The handshake agreements, when the person who served 40 years is no longer on the board, then those agreements have a tendency to be misinterpreted or misunderstood. So as long as we write them down clearly, then that should be fine.
All right. Any other thoughts, comments?
I think, I mean, I see what you're saying, but this has taken so long to get to a point, and I still think there's going to be some opposition to the 800,000 each, because they know a guy, and you don't need to engineer things, right? No, geotech is not needed. So I think it'll waste another year talking about this, and then things will be more expensive. So I don't know. We could put a sign up like this road brought to you by West Lakeland.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, and we've gotten this far. I think we need to follow through. The other thing is we've kind of taking the west side. We've got a little bit of with the changes to the airport runway and reconstruction of that road, and we kind of pick up the benefit of some of that cost was covered, wasn't it, in that project by MAC?
Yeah.
So that kind of starts to balance things out a little bit over a short period of time. We're talking, what, 3 or 4 years here. So hopefully that helps us.
Okay. All right. So let's see. What do we want to do? So we want to. I suppose we want to. I don't know. I guess I'll move that we propose then to Baytown that we accept that notion in principle of doing a reclamation project from Neal to the town limits, splitting the cost on a 50-50 basis, and thereafter splitting responsibility for the roadway at 30th Street Court North. And I don't know what else they need to build in. Maybe the reconstruction has to be done in a way that both townships, respective engineers, approve of or something. I mean, I don't know how much work Bolton and Mink's already done to, engineering, pre-engineer this or whatever. I guess those are just details we'll have to work out with them. Maybe we just stop the resolution there and just say, in principle, we're in agreement with the 50-50 split, and then the splitting future responsibility thereafter at 30th Street Court North. And the parties agree to work together to bring that to fruition in the 2027 construction season.
But we're only splitting it if they sign a joint powers agreement, as we've discussed.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question on that. Do we include that in this
Resolution?
resolution? Thank you. Because we're kind of making an assumption that's where the split is, and it seems like if we're gonna go into an agreement, there needs to be quite a bit of discussion. Is there something more general we want to say? Do we just want to comment that we want to adopt a resolution that in the future, any future projects would involve us coming up with a split whereby we would take responsibility for the western portion to Manning and the eastern portion for Baytown to Stagecoaches?
I think that an essential part of any agreement that we come to with Baytown has to be the blueprint for the future, i.e.
Yep.
we're splitting the road at 30th Street Court North.
Okay.
And if we don't have that agreement, I think we're just kicking the can
Yeah.
down the road, and we're asking for trouble in the future.
I'm good with that. If that's the center, if that's the halfway, is that the midpoint? I'm good with that.
Yeah, and I'll let Chad
Yeah.
respond to that, because he's done some work on this, study on this.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. What we're discussing is about the halfway point equivalent from.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm just asking the question to make sure that we, proceed in the right manner so that we get to that resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is a resolution, but we don't have anything drafted, so maybe should I ask council could you draft an appropriate resolution, assuming we agree to it today?
Yes, so, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, was there a second to your
I'll
motion?
second.
Not yet, no.
Okay,
No?
So yes, I think what comes along that if this motion passes, I think embedded in that is the idea that we move forward with preparing a joint powers agreement and the line road agreement. You know, because I agree, I think all that needs to be on the table, and not just one part of it. You know, it's kind of all or nothing, is what I'm hearing you say, which I think is a good idea.
All right.
You want to read that or?
All right.
Second that.
So
I
I'll,
don't know what Betsy. It's written down.
yeah, right. Okay, so the motion is that we agree in principle to the concept of reconstructing or reclaiming 30th Street from Neal to the town limits, and that we in Baytown split the cost of that reconstruction on a 50-50 basis, and that moreover, as part and parcel of that we agree that 30th Street Port North will be the dividing line, with West Lakeland taking the west half and Baytown taking the east half after this project is completed. And that we draft and enter into a joint powers agreement to that effect.
I'll second that. Well done.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? We don't really need a roll call because we're not expending specific sums, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no? Okay, so well, should I just convey this to, Baytown, or do we need any kind of a resolution that we sign? Just convey it, right?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think at this point that's fine, and we'll start exchanging the documents.
Okay.
My thought is that we prepare them and share them with them and their attorney, and hopefully we can come to some agreement on language that then bring back to the board
Okay.
for adoption.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you for all your work on that, Phil.
Oh, yeah.
That's been
Pleasure's
a
all-
process.
I know it's
Still is, but
It still is, but
getting closer.
we're moving towards a good resolution, so that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. All right. Let's see. Supervisor Evans, update on TCE meeting.
Yes.
Once again, Baytown they feature in this.
They are. Okay, so put up a map. This is in regards to, it's an update on TCE. Trichloroethylene,
Trichloroethylene, I think.
otherwise known as TCE. It's colorless, non-flammable. It's a contaminant that was an industrial cleaner, a degreaser, was used on taking off adhesives, sometimes even a household cleaner. We had a situation back in the 50s into the 70s. There was a metalworking shop roughly where Hagberg's Meat Market is in Lake Elmo. This TCE is seeped into the soil. There's a plume, and we've got a map of the plume up now. Starts pretty much at that location and moves east towards the St. Croix River, up and towards Bayport, and it does extend down into West Lakeland. That little bit of a dip there around Oak Green kind of passes 22nd Street north, so and then pushes forward. In terms of update on this, it hasn't really changed, that plume, which is good news. In a 5-year study, they really don't see any significant changes in terms of it spreading or getting worse. One thing to note is, he said if people feel like if they're in one aquifer versus the other, that isn't necessarily going to provide any kind of protection. It does have a tendency to migrate from one into the other. So it's pretty aggressive that way. So in either case, if you're within that map area, you definitely want to get testing done for TCE contamination. Let's see. Currently in West Lakeland, to date, we have tested and have 3 on record that are contaminated. The GAC filters do address the issue, which is good news. And if, as an example, you've tested positive for PFAS and are already have the GAC filters in place, then it will cover the TCE. There's a little bit of a difference in terms of how it is managed. the PFAS is managed by the East Metro Drinking Water Supply Project, which was put together as a response to the 3M contaminant settlement funds and the contamination there. So that covers it. Those filters get replaced on an annual basis. The difference with TCE is that they're those filters are replaced every 3 years, if I got this right, and then testing is encouraged every 2 years. Did I get that right, Jenny? Check me on that one. We currently have about 35 homes that we are monitoring in West Lakeland. And the reason that's important to bring up is that we have taken, and Jenny's doing the responsibilities of notifying those people when they hit those 2 and 3 year marks to make sure that they're getting the testing completed and they're getting the GAC filters replaced. And so we manage that list. That's basically it. Do you have anything else you want to add?
You summarized it quite well. We just had an annual meeting with the EPA,
Yes.
the MPCA, and the MDH
Yeah.
in June. John and
in
I.
Baytown.
And Baytown was invited as well. It's just a check-in. The EPA comes to town and they want to check in with all the state agencies that they're keeping everybody's water healthy. And it trickles down to us because we have an ordinance related to TCE that we have to manage to the best of our ability. So basically, things are
Yeah.
status quo, about the same.
That's basically it.
All right, thank you very much, John. Appreciate that update. Anybody have any questions? Okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda would be Marion Apelt is going to bring us up to date on the Township Night Out schedule. Oh, yeah, yeah, okay. Okay. Good point. No, good point. Let's address that. So, all right, let's hear from Marcia, the treasurer's report and the motion to pay the bills.
Good evening. In the month of June, the township recorded $44,492.94 worth of interest, worth of receipts. 17,134 was building permits. There was a pool fence escrow for 5,000, driveway escrow for 3,200, 574 for a refund from Meager and Gear, and the remainder was interest. The township also paid out $173,500.39 during the month. $83.49 was payroll. $15,000 was 3 pool fence escrow returns. $13,275 was the remainder of the audit. $45,105 for Q2 Bayport Fire. $19,994 for engineering. $14,733 for stencil inspections. $81.96 for tennis recycling, $36.77 for legal, and $35,840 for the Washington County Assessor, bringing the total current assets to $5,145,697.13. We will have one CD from Bell Bank that is coming up here on July 19th. So I will contact you as that gets closer, Phil.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. I will move that we accept the treasurer's report and approve payment of the monthly bills. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? We should have a roll call.
Supervisor Evans,
Aye.
Supervisor Dana,
Aye.
Chairman Moosberger.
Aye. Thank you. And speaking of budgets, I just want to ask Chad, does that roughly 815,000 we're talking about for 30th Street, does that fit in nicely in the pavement management plan projections? Because now we would be addressing 30th Street and we would be spending, some money on 30th, or is that?
Mr. Chair, we had a placeholder for 2026 for 30th Street this year in the amount Supervisor Dan, actually, I think the difference between the two of 600 and some thousand, but that doesn't quite cover the full you know,
Okay.
$800,000 estimate, so there'd be a gap to work into the
A little bit
budgeting
more, yeah, like 200,000 more or something.
thereabouts. I
Yeah.
can get more accurate numbers.
Okay,
But don't we have some savings left from the other road projects?
we do.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we've still got some that we're gonna be using this year on the overlay project, which probably does create a little bit of a surplus, doesn't it, in that?
The trickle down should work out that way.
Yeah.
The proceeds from the bond will have to be spent in, I believe, this calendar year, and Marcia can correct me if I'm
Which
wrong.
It will be, because we'll use them on the.
So we can't reserve those funds for the
Right.
future 30th project, but
Right.
hopefully that capital improvement budget will kind of balance out, but definitely something we should look into with Marcia.
Okay, all right, thanks. Okay, so let's move on to Marion and the Township Night Out preparations.
Good evening, everyone. We are on the last meeting before our big event. So just wanted to give a quick update. We do have one more event committee meeting coming up next week. So I just want to give you a quick update into where we're at. Most important, I'm going to speak to the budget. As you recall, we've been allowed to spend up to $1,500. And we're in the process of updating it and we're tracking it closely. And so we should be able to stay within our budget. But we will be coming up against it pretty close, just to let you know. And we did a little bit of extra because of the 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence for the United States. We've also been lucky that we've gotten some sponsorships for some of the items that we're doing. From some generous residents, so they're like sponsoring our ice cream and doing things like that. So we could take that out of our budget. I'm sure, as you noted, the banner went up, so we got the banner out there. There's a plan in place to put some of the small little signs along the right-of-ways on both Stagecoach and on 10th, as well as some signs around the important corners of our township. And we're still working on that plan, but they should be up for sure the week before the event takes place. We are still in need of volunteers. So if you've got children home from college, you've got anybody that would be willing to spend a couple hours. Kelly Stichter has been our volunteer coordinator this year, and her email address and information is on our website. So we do definitely need a few more hands for set up and clean up, and also for serving the ice cream and the food. Also wanted to remind people that we will keep the handicap parking available up front here. We'll probably have some extra handicap parking. Last year, I think there were some people that drove away from the event because they didn't think that they could get close enough. We do have a golf cart and a person that's going to be driving it, so that if people do get parked further away, they can actually get driven up by the golf cart. So we're hoping that it's a little bit more obvious to people. We did put that in the newsletter, so we're hoping that that will address some of the problems that we ran into last year. So also, just a reminder, we will not have the tables and chairs outside like we had last year. We won't have the tents and the tables and the chairs. So we have encouraged people to bring their own chairs and blankets and be able to sit outside. Of course, there will be some seating inside here like there has been over the last few years, but it is going to be pretty limited. I don't know if you guys want an update on the food again. I mean, I've certainly talked about what we're going to be providing. So if there's any other updates there, we do have our activities coordinator and our children's games all going forward. And so we're pretty well organized at this point, but we do need some volunteers. So any questions? Did I capture everything, committee?
Yeah, it's anybody that wants help, so they don't have to have that.
Right.
They would like to park closer and they want help getting up here.
Questions? Thoughts?
I don't have any, but thank you for your, it sounds like it's going to be a very fun and wonderful event.
Yep, we've been
for all your
confirming all the activities, and so we'll have lots of things going on. And we have now 3 children on our committee that are providing us input. onto the children's games. And just a heads up, they're pretty convinced that we need to have a bouncy house next year. So they were pretty adamant about that at our last meeting, which was
Kids are
pretty
expert
cute.
consultants.
Yeah.
We have experts consultants.
Yes.
Exactly. You
But
know,
we should
so.
check with our insurer before we get a bouncy house.
I know.
think, 'cause
We
those
we
things blow
we
away and
yep. we were leaning away from it for that reason, but we're adults and we think on a different level than
Right,
our,
right.
our child consultants. So, all right. Well, I hope to see everybody there, and please tell all your neighbors. And if you've got any kids that are willing to volunteer, we would love to help. So, thank you.
Right, thank you very much, Marion. Appreciate all your work. Okay, new business, there's a parking lot striping, I think. Oh, is he? Yeah, he's. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, if you've noticed when you parked tonight, the striping is fading and it'll probably be pretty much gone by over the winter time. So I got a quote from Gopher State Seal Coat, and the quote is for $660, which is fairly reasonable to stripe our parking lot. And so I'm just looking for that approval so that I can inform Gopher State that they can go ahead with the project.
Sounds like a good idea. Any chance they'd get it done by our township night out thing? So that the handicap spots are clearly marked?
I can't promise that.
Yeah.
But I'll push for it.
It'd be nice, yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice. Yes. it
Not
would be-
on that day.
No,
Not on that day.
Right.
Or the day.
Right.
no, I try to, I don't know how busy they are. But yes, I'll try to get it done before then.
All right, I think it sounds like a good idea. I'll move that we approve that expenditure and see if we can get it done soon.
I'll second.
Okay.
Moved and
And I'll
seconded.
resend the quote to you, Carrie, so that you'll have it on record. Okay.
Okay.
And I got one other question is, that you voted for the plaque, essentially the resolution, but I have the resolution, and you have the resolution. If, just so that it would reflect what you voted for in the final section of the resolution, from this day forward, a plaque describing John and Harriet's years of service to the township shall be created and placed in the suitable location in the building, and not naming the hall McPherson Hall. So I guess my question is, how should I give that to Troy to rewrite, or what do you want to do
It's a good question. At some point, we're gonna review the proposed plaque. I wonder if that's an appropriate time to, for the board to vote that, yes, this is the plaque that we'll place and so forth, Troy, have you got a thought on that?
Mr. Chair, I think that's a good idea. I don't know if the plan was to have the language in time for the August meeting, but
No,
whenever.
no,
Okay.
it'll probably, the timeline is hopefully this fall,
Okay.
to have the plaque ready by this fall.
Okay, so Mr.
Sometime.
Chair, I think having the resolution come back with that revised language and cleaned up a little bit, just so it's more in the town normal format, with the town's name on top and some of
But
that.
that was my
Yeah.
other part of it, is how we want that. And that's why I was asking if it needed to be distributed to you or given to you to make it official.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, if the board's okay with that, I think both that updated resolution and the plaque language could come back at that meeting in the fall.
Okay.
Whenever it's ready.
All right.
Well, I'll pass it by you, Troy, first, so that just to make sure there's no hiccups.
And we can give Troy a copy of what you've already drafted, I suppose, that he can look at.
I have the resolution.
Oh, you do? You have it, okay. So I guess that's it. Just, get on the agenda when you've got the final language, and then we'll look at the whole package.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds good.
sounds good. Hey, go ahead.
I do have one new item.
Yeah, but wait, before we move on, we got this motion. I got this motion on the
Oh, we have
floor.
a motion?
Yeah, and I think it's been moved and seconded we've talked about it a little bit.
Oh,
Six
back
sixty
to
for
the
striping,
Striping.
and we have to do a roll call vote on that motion.
All right.
Supervisor Evans,
Aye.
Supervisor Dana,
Aye.
Chairman Moosberger.
Aye. Thanks. Thanks for your work on that. Appreciate it. Okay, the other item of new business is this election date petition that the township received. My understanding is that the request was made to present that and to have an agenda item at this meeting, but that request came in after the agenda had been determined and after the 1 week cutoff for that. On the other hand, I think that because we have received a petition, and maybe I'll defer to council as to whether this is, I'm stating this accurately, but it seems like now it becomes incumbent on us, having received this petition, to take some action. But I don't know if we have to take it at this meeting or at a subsequent meeting. If we have to take it at this meeting, then I think we should probably give the proponent of it an opportunity to speak potentially. I don't know. But what do you think, council? Do we have to take action at this meeting, or can we wait until next meeting? There's some kind of a deadline, I think, in August coming up for putting these things on the election ballot for the fall. Where does that leave us?
Yeah, so good question, Mr. Chair. And I guess if you don't mind, I'll direct this to Carrie. I didn't get a chance to look up that deadline. Do you happen to know,
It's
Carrie?
after our meeting, I think. Carrie, do you happen to know that August deadline that the county has for putting items on the ballot for August?
No, I don't. I thought it was roughly 84 days to submit a ballot question, but I have to verify that.
Have that information here. My recollection is that whatever that deadline is, it occurs after our, was it August 11 maybe? What's our meeting date? Our meeting date is August 10th. And I believe that deadline occurs after the August 10th meeting. I have no problem taking action tonight if that's what we need to do, but did we tell the moving party that he could speak at the August meeting? Did we say that?
Yes.
We did.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't quite know what to do. I don't know if we want to defer action until then to allow him to make a presentation, or if we want to just take action now on this. If time is of the essence. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, if we're, and I don't know why, but the election calendars seem to be not as clear as they have been in the past. Because I know they changed that number. It was 80 something, and then they changed it. They changed the number not that long ago. So I just can't recall off the top of my head exactly where that's at. But if we're comfortable that postponing this to the next meeting and then giving the petitioners an opportunity to speak and having this as a regular item of business on the agenda, that's certainly preferable than just having to act. My thought in my kind of rush to do something on this was just merely not wanting to essentially pocket veto it by just saying, well, we'll just talk about it after the deadline.
Yeah, right. Do you have any input on that date? Do you know that date?
I plan to speak in the public comment section. Do you want me to speak now?
Well, I'm just wondering if you happen to know the date by which these.
Yeah, just before this meeting, I got an email from Moore apologizing that his previous advice, August 25th, was in error. So August 11th is the date.
Oh.
So that's one day after the August meeting.
Okay. All right. So the county has advised you that August 11th is the last day that you can that an item can be submitted for.
Would need to be to select the county.
Okay. That's pretty tight timing. Maybe we should deal with it tonight and give them an opportunity to speak right now under new business. Let's go ahead and do that. If you're interested in making a statement. Yeah, sure. So I'd ask you to step to the podium. state your name and address for the record and so forth.
Okay, Mike Gretz, 1176 Nolan Avenue North. Mr. Chair and members of the board. Actually, I thank you for expediting the consideration of this. When I started out, I found it was a minefield of conflicting regulations and such, so not totally surprised. But I'll take a few minutes just to say a few things then. The benefits for even year November elections, it would increase West Lakeland voter turnout for supervisor elections by probably 10 times or more. Save some tax dollars and a lot of admin time for both West Lakeland and Washington County, and potentially increase annual meeting attendance because you could then move up for an earlier start. March elections for Minnesota Township date back to 1858 when most residents were farmers. Moving town elections from March to November in even years does not change the town annual meeting on the second Tuesday in March every year. Township voters still vote on the levy at that annual meeting. November elections will allow the annual meeting to start earlier, encouraging people to attend. An often heard reason for March elections is that only the people who care will vote. I think that is an unfounded criticism of voters and sort of an admission of a desire to keep voter turnout low. Another often heard urban legend is that moving elections to November will reduce attendance at the annual meeting. There's virtually no supporting data for that, since very few townships even keep track of attendance. And what little can be found for Baytown shows no change. If November would be distracting, what is the distraction in March? There were only 376 voters in March 2026, according to the West Lakeland website, out of over 3,100 registered. The question of November elections for supervisors never been put to the voters. It has never even been mentioned in annual meeting minutes that I searched back to 2007. The question of elections for supervisors until tonight, perhaps, has never been voted on by any town board going back to 2008. The topic has only been mentioned in meeting minutes once since 2008. In taking the petition door to door, more than 9 out of 10 say yes. At that rate, if we kept going door to door, we'd probably have over 2,000 signatures. Some notable quotes from petition signers. That's crazy. Why do we still vote in March? It just makes sense. Not the March, November. Just because March elections are preferred by some, it doesn't mean that they are wanted by all. We do not often get a chance to easily do what perhaps 90% of the people want. This is an easy one, really, for the town board. And so what we wanted to do is get the question on the ballot and let those voters make the decision for themselves. Have any questions for me? Or?
Well, yeah, thank you for your presentation. Yeah,
Thank
I mean, I guess it's a question whether which timing is better. Some folks think that although you may get greater turnout in November, a lot of those folks won't potentially be as well versed in understanding, what the issues are and who the candidates are and so forth at that local level. I know that when I go through my ballot, usually I'm focusing on the presidential and the Senate and the other large, statewide offices and so forth. Not so much thinking about the, whether this judge or that judge ought to be reelected and that sort of thing, you know. It gets kind of lost in the shuffle. Whereas there's more focus on Township Day, you know, grassroots government day, in March. People are focused on this, and the people that show up are people who have educated themselves on those candidates. Certainly, everybody educates themselves on the national candidates in November and the statewide offices, but I think maybe the local elections can get kind of lost in the shuffle if they're down there at the end of the ballot. Be that as it may, there are a couple different ways to bring this forth if people want to do it. If enough people want to do it, obviously at probably the best way to gauge that would be at the annual meeting. At the annual meeting, the electors can mandate that this be placed on the ballot for the following town election. The board can also require that, but you know, that's a debate that I think has to be carefully considered in the future. And the notion that this petition would require that be placed on the ballot, I think is mistaken. And I think that we have to take action to address this petition that's been submitted and deny it because it's not according to law, as I understand it. And then certainly if we want to consider this at length in the future, you know, the board can do that. You're welcome to make a presentation to the board next month as you initially planned. But I think we do have to take action on this petition now to address this this document that I think purports to do something that that's not according to statutory procedure. Now, I'll ask council to see if I've correctly expressed that, but I think this petition, as it stands, has to be turned down, and certainly we can consider as a board in the future, or the town electors can consider, that is to say, the citizens, the voters, the residents can consider at the next annual meeting whether they want to place this on the ballot and you know, and have it voted on by the people that vote in the next election. But council, why don't you kind of straighten out this garbled message that I've just given?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and board. The petition process that was exercised here generally is available to bring something to the voters, that something that they have a right to vote on. Sometimes we run into questions where people want to put advisory questions on the ballot, and that's not proper. So generally speaking, that is an appropriate process to follow. But when I look at it in the context of this particular question, I really came down to the statute that provides for moving the election to November really contemplates a deliberative, it coming out of a deliberative process of either at the town board meeting or a resolution adopted by the electors at an annual meeting. So in my view, that's a condition precedent to putting this on the ballot, that there really has to be this deliberation either at the town board level or at the elector level at the annual meeting before that could move forward. So in my view, this petition is not appropriate under the statute just because of this limiting language in 205.075. And I did put a resolution together as part of looking at this because, like I said, I think from my perspective, I think the town, given the deadline that's coming up, needs to address this directly rather than just we'll look at this and then let the deadline go by. So I think affirmatively addressing it is appropriate. Now, from a town board's perspective, you do have the option if you're convinced by this petition, despite it not being legally binding, to say, looks like a lot of people want us to ask this question, let's move forward with asking the question. I'm not suggesting you do that, but it is an option for you. And I was thinking as the presentation was going on, if you were inclined to do that and do so in a kind of a hurry up fashion, you could direct me to put together the resolution, the required resolution with the plan for action at your next meeting, and we could get kind of ducks in a row between now and then to be able to give the notice the next day and still try to meet that deadline, give the county a heads up that it's coming. Again, I'm not suggesting any of this, but I don't want to not highlight that as an option for you to consider. So that would be one option. Otherwise, you know, this really is contemplated as being a, if you think about it, an elector authorized initiation of this process at the annual meeting in March for a vote at the next town general election. So that it contemplates really a whole year between the initiation and the vote when it's initiated by the electors. Of course, as a town board, you can expedite that. You can just act prior to that deadline that we've been talking about. So you have some options here. I'm not suggesting you're forced to hurry up and make a decision on this, but I do think you need to act on the petition. And to that end, I did put a resolution together that you should have in your packet that talks about kind of my analysis of this particular question being limited to one of those two ways of forwarding it. And because the petition really falls outside of that, is not contemplated in this, and I think it's contrary to that deliberative initiation of this process, that the resolution ultimately determines to reject the petition as not being consistent with the law.
Much more clear than what I tried to.
More
say.
words.
Yeah. But, all right, so I'm going to move that we adopt the resolution that's been prepared to indicate that that we will not proceed with putting this matter on the November ballot as requested by this petition. Do I have a second?
I'll second that. Can I make a comment? though?
Sure, it's
There's
time for
there's a few
discussion.
things when I was reading through, trying to understand this better, is that obviously this petition is a very strong kind of endorsement to move, to get the board to move to putting it on the ballot and voting on moving elections to November rather than March. But as part of that, there is, if the board was to initiate this, one of the things we have to consider, and it was talked about, is we have to put together a plan. So the assumption is that within a month's time, before the 11th of next month, that we have a plan, a document with a plan in place that would be basically our recommendation in terms of how we would proceed to make that change. There's some other things that factor in here that I read about that I think make it a little cloudier but need to be better defined. Is everybody assumes it's an even year election. If it's moved to November, it could potentially be an odd year election, November election for the township. Other things that people need to be aware of is obviously it moves these the terms to 4 years from 3. So that's part of that plan and trying to get on that every other year cycle, whether it be even or odd. And then also, what is the sequence for moving the current board members' seats onto those ballots? So I just want to make note of that. There's several factors there. The plan is not it is something that really needs to be thought through and worked on and diligently, so that we have the right plan in place that represents what the majority of the residents really want, and then you're putting it on a ballot. So the question is, what is on that ballot? Because, is it just to move it to November?
Well, you're right.
Obviously, they may not agree with that plan.
Yeah, the plan is a prerequisite to putting it on the ballot, but I think council was going to maybe make it.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chair and Board, I was just going to point out the petitioners did submit a resolution that contained.
I saw that.
Yeah,
Yep.
with even numbered years and lengthening terms to court. Though I can tell you from experience of having drafted those plans in the past, they're more complicated than you might think.
That's the point I was
And I'm
trying
not
to
saying that the one that was submitted was wrong or anything like that, but it's just, I agree that it does take some figuring to make sure everything is aligned properly. But and again, I don't, if the board said, let's move forward with this, I would work to have something in time for your next meeting. So I don't want that to be we can't do it.
Right, I understand that. And my thought is, and I think you almost used the word deliberative, you used the word deliberative. I think it should be a deliberative process. We should be thinking carefully about it and not rushing into this. And so I kind of think the idea of, trying to trying to come to some kind of a decision by, our August meeting is rushing things and hurrying things along more than we need to. This can and probably should be considered, more carefully and perhaps by the electors at the March meeting, which is kind of one of the two, ways that the statute envisions this kind of a determination being made. I think we should certainly keep talking about it. If Mike wants to make a presentation, if he wants to get on the agenda next month, I think that's fine, or some future month to flesh this out more. I think that's fine too. But I don't think that I feel comfortable being kind of under the gun with the idea that we have to have this all worked out in 1 month before we really had a chance to hash it out. Any further discussion or thoughts?
Well, so even if we put it on the ballot, it doesn't change anything. That's just like basically taking a survey.
No, if we put it on the ballot, we would be moving to, assuming the voters approved that ballot issue, we would be moving our elections to November and moving to either even year, as John said, or odd year elections every other year, and extending the terms and so forth, all that stuff. That would all happen if we put this on the ballot. And my preference is that before we put this on the ballot, we take some time to evaluate the pros and cons.
Well, we should talk about it at the annual meeting.
I agree. I mean, I think to me, that's the most appropriate place to consider it. You've got a room full of people, 100 people or so, what we had in the past. And that's a good way to sample the opinions of the voters, I think. Be that as it may, we've got a motion on the floor to approve this resolution at this time, and then certainly I think in the future we can keep talking about this and considering doing it on a more measured and deliberative way.
What was the motion? Oh, to
approve
adopt the
this-
resolution
adopt
that's
this
rejecting.
resolution.
Okay.
Correct.
It's seconded.
Moved and seconded, I believe, at this point. Yep. And so any further discussion about this at this point? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay? Okay, so the resolution's adopted. And Mike, if you still want to be on the agenda for next month, I'm sure Gary will put you on there. You can talk about it. Sure, yeah. Okay.
And when we do talk about in March, I mean, someone need to have someone willing to put in the effort to make that presentation and have all the facts or
Right. Probably have to have a
that meeting
couple
prep.
of different points of view,
Yeah.
A couple people making presentations.
And a plan.
And a plan, sure. Or maybe even a couple of alternative plans.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So all that needs to be thought through.
yeah. So that'll be a reason for people to get excited about, to attend, right?
Yeah, but it's at like 8:30 at night.
Yes. All right. Okay, any other old or new business?
I have one item.
Yeah, go ahead.
One. So we were out, Matt from M&S Trees and I were out, we're doing some inspections, looking at ditches that need maintenance, noxious weeds, those types of things. And we were, a couple of culverts that we looked at that need some work. There's one in particular, it's on the intersection of Overlook and 30th, back to 30th Street again. That's a pretty steep hill. The culvert, it's a concrete culvert. It's under Overlook as it comes into 30th, and it is clogged on the downhill side of that. There's a spillway coming down Overlook. The spillway is basically just running over the top, has clogged that culvert. And then everything from 30th coming downhill from the other direction is going over the top of the road. So even if, let's say, we do the work in 2027 on 30th, should we go ahead and clear this culvert? I think we probably should. So we got a quote from M&S to do that. And so to dig it out, and put down some control fabric and some riprap on the south side where all that water rushes through is about 3,700. And that would be something that would get done this year.
Which, it's going on under Overlook?
It goes under Overlook. So as you
Okay.
come down that hill toward 30th, and there's a culvert, there's a concrete culvert under Overlook.
Okay.
Just before it intersects. So basically in that ditch.
Okay.
And to the east side of that, it's completely clogged.
And that's the downstream side.
Yes.
Now I got a question.
So it's overflowing from Overlook and
Okay.
30th.
I got a question for Chad. Was that one of the streets we did last year or not? Overlook up
Mr.
to
Chair,
30th?
No, that is
Oh, it
not
was
one.
not. Okay.
No.
Okay. All right.
Spillway isn't working and the culvert is not.
So we're replacing the culvert or just,
No, the culvert's good. It's a concrete culvert. So, and actually in the new project, I'm going to jump into put my engineering hat on. We probably would just leave that in place once we do reconstruction of 30th.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's gonna clean it out and maybe improve the drainage?
Yeah,
of the
put
drain?
fabric down to stabilize things and then riprap to kind of help manage the water flow through
Mhm.
there.
Is this anything that, Chad, that you'd want to weigh in on before we go ahead with it, or is it just, you think it's just self-evident?
From what's described, that seems pretty self-evident maintenance standard that you should make sure water's not getting
Well, yeah,
over top of
right.
the roadway.
But I'm just saying, if you're changing the drainage, you know, in some way, I don't know,
It's
engineering.
just maintenance, it sounds like.
Yep.
Give a picture, John?
I do not. I did not bring a picture. Sorry. Oh, Bitsy. Oh, that's there you go. Yeah, that's the
Oh,
intersection.
yeah, yeah.
So right where the number 3 is on 30th, if you're looking at that image, then that's a pretty steep hill coming down Overlook there, and as well as 30th. So they're just intersecting there. The water's backing up underneath the Overlook into that culvert, and then it's running over the top, and then it's Overlook. There's a spillway on that east side, and that spillway is not working at all. Again, it's overwhelmed.
Okay.
So it's all basically just running over on top of 30th.
Sounds like something we should address.
Yeah.
Sounds like it will ice up in the wintertime.
That's what I was
probably.
thinking
Yeah,
too.
that's the other issue.
But it will be on their side.
Yeah, it's actually
Yeah.
going across the border.
Yeah.
No, we should.
Good point.
Okay. All right. Well, sure. You want to make a motion to?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we accept this estimate and have the work completed.
I'll second it. Any further discussion?
Can we just take before and after pictures for record, please?
Yes.
Good idea.
That's a good suggestion.
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we should get a roll call on that.
Supervisor Evans,
Aye?
Supervisor Dana,
Aye.
Chairman Moosberger.
Aye. All right. Thanks for your work on that, John. Any other new or old business? All right, then it's time for our public comment period, 3-minute limit. Anybody like to get up and make a comment? We have a taker. Go ahead, Dave.
Mr. Chair, supervisors, this has been a discussion on next door regarding November elections. Just keep in mind, on the ballot, townships are at the bottom of the food chain. You get the federal offices, the state offices, county offices. the almost
Judges.
I'm sorry?
Judges.
Well, I was going to say, the almost 24 unopposed judges.
Yeah.
The Board of Soil and Water, and then finally the township offices. Now, keep in mind, the school board, when they have a bond issue or referendum, they have it on a special date, not November. March annual meeting. More turnout, start earlier. I don't know about the starting earlier part, Yes, our elections ended at 8. We opened the doors at 8:15. By the time everybody got settled, it was 15 minutes. So 8:30, everything got started. Does an hour make that much difference? I'm not sure. As far as attendance at the annual meeting, it was said on Nextdoor that it's an urban legend that attendance went down at an annual meeting at Baytown when they moved their elections to November. That was not urban legend. I was told that by an official at Baytown. I checked last year or this year. Baytown had 8 people at their annual meeting. About 5 years ago, there was like 6 people at their annual meeting, 2 of which were supervisors. 4 of the people that were there were angry that they wanted their street resurfaced. And they wanted to raise the budget over the objection of the 2 supervisors that were there. Now, granted, the supervisors are like any other resident. They have no power other than being a vote on as a resident. Those 4 or 5 individuals that lived on that street raised the budget or the levy $100,000 over the objection of the 2 supervisors. So I would say that's a handful of people that took and changed that levy that year. So I am not sure there's a significant, and we've talked about this, I think that was talked about once before at an annual meeting about moving elections. So just some food for thought. So thank you, board.
Thank you for your comment, Dave. Any other public comment? People want to make a comment of any kind? If not, I think I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
So moved. And I'll second it. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjournment, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, thank you. We're adjourned. Thank you all very much for coming. Appreciate it.